We all know that marriage ruins men's lives. Men walk down the aisle because they are in love. Women walk down the aisle because they are in business. But is that going to change for men? Is marriage going to be worth it for men anytime soon? We have had some major developments in the last couple of years, especially in the US, that gives men some hope. But will that be enough? Will men be able to finally marry someone who can respect them without being attached to their wallets, cars, and bank balances? Will men be able to marry someone who hasn't pre-planned a divorce to get alimony? All I can say is that it's a start. Mandatory paternity test at birth in Tennessee, getting rid of no-fault divorce in Texas, removal of permanent alimony in Florida. It's just a start. But this doesn't mean it's safe to consider marriage now. This needs to be the norm across all of the states. No sane person would enter into a partnership for a business if they knew that in the event the partnership was dissolved the other partner. We get all the company assets and income, and then they would have to pay support to that business partner. Because of the laws we have, that's exactly the situation in marriage. Some men are opting out of marriage because if it fails, it will destroy their life. What sane person would set themselves up to be destroyed? But honestly, I think the damage that years of ignoring these problems in order to keep the money rolling into the government is far too large and far too deep for men to just change course. And of course, these new laws will have plenty of kickback from the women. So marriage is still a big lose-lose situation for men, and we are tired of holding the shitty end of the stick. By their own words and deeds, it is safe to say that women will leave their entire families for the right amount of money because that is what they hold to be more precious than everything else. No love, honor, duty, morality, or ethic is as important to them as money. They will say, do, and manipulate anyone and any situation in order to get it. As a man, it would be almost suicidal to even go near the dating scene or a relationship nowadays. I've been working hard my whole life, and just because one day a woman might be bored because she has no hobbies would want a divorce and to take half of my life of work. No, thank you. I let them be independent boss queens and I keep the distance. And regardless of how things end, the man should always walk away with 100% of what is his. Women from the past 50 years should be made to repay every single cent they stole. Mandatory jail time for women who have children not belonging to their partner. And these are just the basics. If gender equality was always the goal, then there is nothing that women have to be upset about here. It's mission accomplished. The only motivation for declaring this unfair is to facilitate the ongoing usury of men for financial gain. You can't have it both ways. You can't crow about being equal and independent whilst demanding to have your life financially subsidized in perpetuity. The women today are miserable, emotionally and mentally broken, eventually physically broken, and have gained no benefits overall that any of them can attest to. The only people thinking they've gained benefit are those still young and playing, and they believe they will never be old. No, not them. They accept no responsibility, tear each other down constantly, are the owners of all the things they blame men for, and can't see anything factual or rational at all until everything blows up in their faces. It's crazy out there. I feel for young women who don't have the right role models, and for the young men who don't have good-natured young women around them anymore. They only have women looking to hook up with rich older guys or young chads. Go can give them an adrenaline rush. If on average a family court judge deals with one man every year who is compelled to kill himself because of onerous rulings made against him by that judge, then how is that judge not a serial murderer? Compelling another human being to commit suicide is considered murder in any other circumstance. It's only because judges are granted immunity from prosecution for crimes committed while serving on the bench that this is not so. I would advise both the judges and the politicians who legislated that immunity to go watch judgment at Nuremberg. What these family court judges are doing is no different than what the German judges were doing, but that didn't save them from the military tribunal after the Allies won the war. Since the male suicide rate quadrupled after no-fault divorce became law in the early 1970s, very conservatively 50,000 additional male suicides in Canada and 500,000 in the United States have taken place in deference to women who divorce. That's a genocide motivated by feminist ideology. Feminism is an anti-male female supremacist hate movement that is identical to old German ideology. The only difference being Jew is replaced by male and Aryan with female. Personally, I think children should only be brought into a married household. That shows people live together first before they made a lifetime choice to have children. If the child is born into an unmarried couple, they get no money or assistance, and instead of paying women to break up families for no reason, give families monies for marriage counseling to help them iron out their differences. If you choose someone you deem good enough to have a child with, then they should be worth fighting for, and so should our children. But I guess even with all these changes, it won't matter. The damage has been done, and it will take decades to undo the damage. The government, women, and the courts have done this to themselves, so in the end they need to suffer for their own greed, stupidity, and selfishness. Men won't marry for a long time, and as such I will educate all young males to not fall for this treacherous pitfall that we call marriage. It's a start. Until the laws completely protect men, do not ever get married or have kids. I mean never. I am one of the millions of men who did, and she left with no discussion at all. You should only have kids if you are married, and you should only be married if the two of you know you'll be honest and loyal to each other. It's even worth it to say that the safe way a man can get married is if the woman makes more and there are no children. When I say safe, I mean financially. Unless you're a Chad or Tyrone, you won't be respected at all. Also, you're going to have to lower your beauty standards. No pretty woman is even noticing a non-Chad that makes less than her. It just isn't worth it. The problem men have today is that we've been educated that men and women are equal. There was this sense and understanding that men are providers, where they are the breadwinners for the family, as well as their protectors from other men or from the evils of society. And if you don't provide that role, you'd get kicked out of your community. Or if the man is an alcoholic or an abuser, he'd be divorced. So that's what divorce used to mean for men. But now, after the feminist no-fault divorce phenomenon, it has changed the game entirely. Now, the men of this generation and the next who have been brought up in the era of feminism, and who are made to believe that men and women are equal, have to then also pay for child support. They have to pay for alimony and fight for their kids. While society tells everyone that men and women are equal. That doesn't make sense if you think about it. There's nothing in such a situation. Mandatory paternity testing is a good thing, and fraud needs to have consequences. As for alimony and such, treat it on a case-by-case basis. I'm not a feminist by any means, but I have heard my whole life a woman can do anything a man can do, and I say live by those words if divorced and the like. I really do not care who does a job in the workplace, so long as it gets done. The law should be that no man signs a birth certificate without DNA confirmation of paternity. End paternity fraud. Men should not automatically pay child support to the mother, especially if he's the majority timeshare parent. Married or not, there should be mandatory parenting courses that include a signed agreement to care for the child or children no matter what. Here's the truth many will agree with, and certainly, many will disagree as well. But hear it out. Men don't need to act the way they used to anymore. We don't have to be the breadwinners of the family anymore. And we don't need partners anymore. If women find us attractive, let them come to us. And men don't need to have to split their assets because someone decided they were done with the relationship for no given reason. Men have been listening to women when they say that they need no man, they're strong and empowered, and they can make their own money. All the reasons why a man would be in a relationship with a woman. Men are just becoming obsolete by the standards they put on themselves. And who knows, maybe that's a good thing. This means men will have more expendable income to spend on themselves. And is that such a terrible thing? Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. And let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.